stand. The stand doesn't work.
There we are. Oh, we're live on YouTube. They can see my hand for sure. Oh, hey, YouTube. God, you look great. All right, we're live on Facebook in 20. Here we go. Do you guys have wine? I feel bad for the YouTube viewer, the YouTube loyal over here. Hey, guys. What's going on? Corin, welcome to Austin.
Thank you.
Did you already down?
Yes.
This is really
That's impressive.
I am Australian.
I will not appreciate.
This is how we
hold,
roll.
hold on a second. So it takes you all night to drink one glass of wine,
Yep.
and you just doubled down on this
That's like
Pinot
half a
Noir.
bottle though. So
Well, that's because like this is from last week.
It's from okay. No, I opened it like half an hour ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you didn't give me any of this.
Well, we can switch.
Oh
that.
no! Because this is what it. Here we go. I'll race you. You've got to finish this one in the time that I finish this one. Remember, hey Facebook, what's going on? You know the hashtag. It's hashtag Drink Clement Drink. And for every 5 hashtags.
Dear God.
Oh, we just bombed on YouTube here. For every 5 hashtags, Clement has to take a sip, and his sip size is, not well endowed, we'll say. C Money, what are you doing to YouTube over there?
I'm not good with cameras. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think we could get a professional.
Holy crap, we're here with an Australian.
Yeah, buddy.
Corin, what's going on, man? I'd cheers you, but I don't really have. Clement took all the wine. Look at this right here.
Wow,
Look, Clement got ambitious tonight. He just decided he's gonna use up all the wine. Well, Clement, you got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
Why don't you kick us off?
How
Cheers
does nobody
to
else
Clement.
have any wine?
Because Corin already drank his, and you're like, I'll just finish off this wine from last week that I literally opened 30 minutes ago.
How is it?
How is
Drink
it what?
The other like.
No, half the bottle is in your glass
that
right
can't
now.
be half the.
Okay, we had dinner.
That's
There
fine.
were 4 people at dinner drinking,
fine.
and you're just like, oh, I'm going to finish it off here. All right, well, hurry up, because we've got another bottle. Kick us off, Dr. Clement.
Go ahead.
We'll wait. Oh my goodness, it's the most pathetic thing watching you drink wine. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Corin, where did you
Yes.
come in from?
We came in from Prague.
From Prague.
Yeah.
We've got all the way from Antarctica, everybody. Prague, Antarctica is where Corin Woodmass flew in from, and we're joined by the good doctor, the gynecologist, proctologist,
Yeah.
anthropologist, Clement Wan, and Corin. You go by the FBA broker. We're going to talk about selling some businesses tonight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You were working on some deals today, yeah?
I was always working those deals.
Always working those deals. Hey, before we get into that, if you're watching live, let us know in. Oh, I didn't go live on my personal page. Oh, hold on. We're about to go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we are. Hey, so if you're watching live, let me know in the comments. We'd love to see who we're hanging out with live. Oh, guys, I know this is going to shock you, but Aiden Howe is in the audience.
Hey.
Aiden's with us, and C Money is here, everybody. Hey Eloy, hey Jacob Brown, what's up, Scott Shermer? Brianna Thomas is in the house. She's
Yes. Thank you, Brianna.
got hashtag let Clement be. I'll let Clement be as soon as he finishes the glass that he poured for himself.
I figured I was taking one for the team.
Take
It's
it.
Like, I thought
This
it was
is-
like
this
old
is what you
wine that
left
wasn't-
for me.
Yeah.
That's what
I
you left
offered
for
to
me.
trade
Like,
since I hadn't started yet.
You're like, I wanted to run a split test of wines tonight. And you're like, not gonna do that. I'm gonna take all of it for myself. Hey, Joshua Costner, what's going on? Derek Schaefer, good to see you. Yuri Soria. Mia Shark, what's going on? Who else we got? Mohit Tater. That's a badass name. Hendra Manalu. That's also a badass name. Hey, Dono, good to see you. So do me a solid. Let me know that you're watching in the comments. Thank you, Aiden. I figured this was the most accurate shirt for to describe my life. Jack Tyler, good to see you. Hey, in Arlington, Texas. Hey, Matthew Underwood, what's going on? Oh, hi, Jeannie Sago, Kayla Prasik, Dan Nader, Ron Lynch, Jen Nichols, Jason. Holy cow! And hold on.
Cash.
I don't know that he's viewable on camera.
Yeah,
this is
Cash.
kind of
Cash needs to be on the
adorable.
show.
Oh, it's a little bit sad to be honest with you, but it's sort of adorable. Can Facebook see Cash on camera? Oh, and of course Clement's gonna pick him up.
It's just there's a lag.
Of course Clement's gonna pick up Cash on camera.
The real stuff.
All right, hey, let's jump in. We got a lot to talk about because I believe in building businesses to sell. I've now sold a couple of businesses. Clement, the good doctor, and I have acquired a couple of businesses ourselves, so I'm on both sides of the aisle, buying and selling businesses. And Corin sees more deal flow in the Amazon space specifically than anybody else I know. So, Corin, what are you seeing go on in the space right now?
Oh, mate. A ton. There's a lot
Forgive
of
me
money.
while I drink my one sip of wine that Dr. Clement left for me. I'll act all sophisticated while I drink my one sip.
I'll drink my water.
Oh, come on! Drink, Clement, drink. All right, Corin, tell us everything.
Wow. Well, if I had wine, I could tell you more. But no, the space is crazy. What we're seeing a lot is the money on the buy side is ridiculous. So real money is coming into the space. And
Well, how do you define real money?
so I would say in the $10-50 million plus budget range is real money. So strategic acquirers, companies that have raised capital, companies that have access to almost unlimited capital for the right deals. That's what we're seeing. We're also seeing international brands that are looking to acquire product-based businesses that have proven their market on Amazon, and they're looking to take them into their other channels.
And what type of channels do those businesses
Yeah.
tend to be focused?
So one in particular has, I'll tell you a little bit about these guys. So they have, I'm from Australia. You guys, we're in the States right now, just been in Europe. These products that these guys have are in all of those locations. They have thousands of sales channels into retail, wholesale, worldwide distribution. So it's not online. What they do online is small compared to their actual business. So they're looking for products that could go into retail, that have proven their model, right? So they've solved
when you say
the
proven the model, what does
Yeah,
that mean?
so
What type of model?
They're solving a problem for a customer.
Okay.
So they've created a brand, they've created products that solve a problem for a real customer.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's the type of product they're looking for. That can also go into retail, right? And they actually said to me, look, we're looking to buy.
I'm listening, Corin. Keep going. Keep spitting gold while Clement spits out his wine. You spit gold, he'll spit grape juice.
They're looking to buy these brands while they're small. So they've proven that they can solve a problem. They're looking to buy these, call up the sales department, say, hey, put these in 1,000 stores. That's what they're looking
So
for.
they've already got the distribution and they're
Yes.
looking for products that fit that model
Yes.
of their basically distribution play. So they're looking to acquire them
Yes.
and they've got the history and the deep pockets to be able to acquire them.
And deep, actually, that's a great point. Just one more thing before we go on. Deep pockets is where it's at. So this one particular company I'm talking about, two brothers own this business. The head of M&A I was talking to, I said, well, what's your budget range for the first acquisition? He said, well, one of the brothers
I love where this is going.
one of the brothers and I do M&A. We could sign a check up to 30 million, the two of us. If it's above 30 million, we'd probably have to get the other brother and maybe the board involved above $30 million. These are my kind of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the crazy thing I think is that most people who are in the Amazon space specifically aren't thinking about what it takes to position themselves in front of big money. And now you're seeing it inevitable that you see all the big money moving into the space. It was only a matter of time. It's finally happening. So how do you work with a lot of the 1 and 2 person shows
Yes.
that are selling to these strategic buyers? So how are you advising them to approach those types of situations?
Sure. So it's really about packaging up the business to position it in such a way that it appeals to these type of buyers.
Okay.
They need to be ready to go. You know, depending on the buyer type, they have a lot of different metrics they're looking at, and it's tough to be perfect for everyone. So we try and position them for success going into the sale. So often we're preparing 6 to 24 months ahead of time
Wow.
before actually going to market.
And what's actually being done in that 6 to 12 months?
Yeah. So we spoke about this in Kiev.
Oh yeah, by the way, we should tell that story. We'll get to that, how we met in a crazy, dirty place with. Actually, it wasn't. It's not.
It was glorious.
It's a great story. But anyway, yeah, go on. We'll tell that story in a second.
So a lot of people, they start an FBA business, let's call it, just with the idea of what's selling on Amazon, what can I source, what can I make money on, what can I rank, and that's how you get started. That's all good and well. Maybe you find a product line, a niche that's great. Let's say sports and fitness. You're in one type of fitness, right? That's your jam. You get something ranking in this. If you double down on this niche and you say, okay, I'm going to create more products around this niche, it's going to take some time. So that first year is often figuring out what works. The second year is really doubling down on building out products for that niche. The third and fourth year are often either expanding again or optimizing for a sale. So you can't aggressively be growing and be positioning for an optimal sale
You
at the
can or
same
you
time.
can't.
It's hard because one of the things you want is good net margin. So that's something you can't be taking great net profit out of the business if you're
While you're also
aggressively
scaling,
growing.
like you're
It
also
just-
investing in advertising. So
Yeah,
so
it's two different levers
so-
to be pulling.
when you, I mean, I know this from my experience in and how we addressed it when I've sold a couple of businesses, but when you're working with these businesses, are you advising them to not go to market until they're at that place where they're stepping back and now managing profitability?
It depends on the business and depends on the goal of the seller. So in some cases, we've had clients recently that say, yep, I get that I could grow this bigger and I could position this for a bigger exit. However, the market rate, the value of my business today is enough for me to say, this is a hell yes number. And we ideally want to take businesses to market where the seller, the founder, is at a hell yes number.
Got it.
Because then we can shoot above that.
Got it. So another question that comes to mind is my deal was they bought them, the group that bought me, the group in Dallas, bought a majority stake, but I'm still an owner in that company. I still advise that company. I still talk. I'm not involved in the operations. My partner is, but I'm in touch with that team. I don't hear you talking about that type of a structure as much, like the roll-up structure or the equity model where we're going to sell that in a couple of years. So are the entrepreneurs that you're working with, do they have a different mindset or is it just a different deal structure? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so you'll often see this come through as an offering. That there'll always be a percentage of either a holdback, hey, we're looking to do this, you can retain some equity, this is the plan. And actually, while there's a two-sided coin. So the reason a buyer is making this offer is to reduce risk. And the reason you want to keep the percentage is for upside, right? For the most part. So with clients of ours, we're often drilling down on who's making the offer and what the offer is.
Hey,
So if it's,
I'm sorry. Hold on. I went to school to be a pastor, and you all know the story of turning water into wine, and I just need to do this for Clement real fast because he poured himself this glass and is now switching over to the cheap stuff that came out of the refrigerator, and I just wanted to make sure that he saw the mismatch here. Keep going.
I like it. What was I saying?
I have no idea. We just turn water into wine on Wine
Yeah.
with Wine.
Yeah,
That's what we do here.
That's pretty nuts.
Hey, if you're watching live, say hi in the chat box so that we know who's watching. Hey, do you know that George Bryant's in the house, everybody?
Hey.
Well, I expected a much louder response from
Why
that.
isn't Tyler here?
Where's T-Coin? T-Coin needs to get here. He's in Berlin.
T-Coin.
T-Coin.
Yeah.
We got T-Coin and C-Money. George, what's up, dude?
Hey, George.
Hey, Colin. What's up, Oleg? Hey, Ryan Rouse. What's up, Jessica Bush? Good to see you. Hey, Carrie Graham. Thanks for hanging out with me. What's up, Jeff Call? Hey, buddy. Miss you. Oh, Leanne Woodmass. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
Not a clue. Okay, what's up, Dustin Titus? Hey, Warren Call. George Bryant says, I don't feel the love. Hey, George Bryant's in the house, guys. Hey! Clement still didn't.
Hi.
No one has a worse time on Wine with Wine than the
That was
good
the
doctor.
moment to drink.
Hey, Matt Underwood. What's up, Mark Murphy? Good to see you. Hey, Will Henderson's in the house. My favorite person. Hey, Omer Sar. What's going on? Justin Chestnut. Eric Payne. What's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out with us on Wine with Wine. And Aiden Ow about 3,700 times. Hey, good to see you, Aiden. Hope to chat with you later. All right, so Corin, we met in Eastern Europe. Now we can't talk about 80% of what happened.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it
It's illegal.
80%.
Most countries in the world.
Correct. And when Clement gets to here,
Yep.
I want you to tell the story about Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, okay.
Because I've played over that story in my head almost every day since. It
Yeah.
really had a meaningful shift in my life. And you never know with the things you share with people how they're going to impact them. And that story just impacted me in a way that I probably won't ever forget. And I'll share that when you tell the story. But Clement has to get here.
You're like reducing this repeatedly.
Well, you are not reducing this. So the faster you reduce this, the faster Corin and I can drink again
So,
because you took half the bottle in your first go.
So Clement, I'm Australian.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what the culture is here, but usually if you have something to drink, that's a good thing. And you can enjoy it. It's okay. Especially when you pour it for yourself.
You said you were taking one for the team.
Because I thought this was like an old bottle, because you tend to do this. You tend to drink like half bottles and just leave them on the counter and for potential drinking in the future. So
Okay. And so
Just
you
saying.
decided you were going to take the hit and
Yeah.
pour the whole glass and
yeah, because I
kiss
thought
it
we'd
all night.
open
What about
like a new one.
But yeah, we did. We opened 2 new ones, and I'm really excited to share. I discovered a new wine that is fantastic that I want to share with you.
Okay.
I want to share this with you, but it would be rude for me to pour it into our
really
glasses.
Isn't. It really is.
No, it is super rude for us to drink this while you're sitting there nursing what you thought was week-old wine, even though it's the good stuff. So I only got 2 sips of this wine, so I can't give an accurate review of Mayomi. We've had this on the show in the past.
Repeatedly.
Have we had it twice?
Yeah.
It's one of our old. Oh, here's the week-old wine. Here, there you go. Here, like this Sean Minor, which I don't know who opened it. You can have this after you can pour yourself that
Well, it
glass of
certainly
wine.
wasn't me who opened it.
I don't remember. Corin, what's your review of the Mayomi?
Yeah, it was decent. I like the Pinot. Yeah, it's cool.
This was a 2016 Pinot Noir from Sonoma County. I thought it was just okay. I only got a couple sips out of it. So I can't give it a proper review, but my 2 sips left some to be desired. But I'm very excited to share.
Paired well with the pizza. Yeah.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
I
That was
originally
genius.
wanted this one,
Right.
but I'm saving it.
Okay.
And we're going to be saving it for quite some time while Clement kisses his grape juice over
Yes.
here.
Yes.
All right.
I love it.
What types of are you seeing any specific markets or any specific industries sell for higher multiples, or just like open-ended question? What types of businesses are selling for the most as of right now?
Yeah, so actually the type of, you're talking Kiev was all about building a real brand,
Yeah.
having product synergy, solving problems for that target market, and that's actually what's always going to sell better than another business.
Well,
If
compared to what?
yeah, so
What's the? I think in brands. So like, what's the opposite?
yeah, so we see a lot. So our brand is the FBA broker. So anyone that sells via fulfillment by Amazon will come to us and think they can sell the business.
Got it.
So in some cases, they could have a business on paper, but maybe they've got 3-4 different brands and 6 products. But 3 of those brands are a name and they have 1 product each.
Got it.
And there's no synergy between those products at all. All they're doing is looking on all the online tools to figure out what's selling well. And then they'll go do that. And then they'll look for something else, they'll go sell this.
And is there a market for that? Do those businesses sell?
Depends.
They're
If
not
there's-
slam dunks,
Hell no.
but
Hell no.
brands are slam dunks.
They can be, yes.
Who has been saying this for years and years and years? I wish there was somebody who had warned us.
Yes.
I
That would
wish
have been
there.
great.
I wish there was somebody who had warned us years ago that there was going to be big money moving into the space, and they were going to buy up brands. See money. We should have found that person and given them a podcast on capitalism.com or something. Should have done some videos, given them some keynotes or something. I wish there was somebody who had let us know about that. So if somebody is selling a product or a couple of products that are not matched up, do you think is that sellable, or is there anything they could do to make it more sellable?
Yeah, absolutely. So to preface this, I started the FBA broker 2 years ago, and back then we literally had buyers say, anyone that's selling products via Amazon, we want to buy this. And the first guy to say this, the first partners to say this, had $1 million in cash ready to go.
Yep.
And they closed on a deal, and the first deal I did was 3 days to close. It was nuts. And we're like, okay, this is a trend. Let's get into this. No one's talking to this market. Let's go in. And what we're seeing now, the change is happening so fast. If you were to start from scratch today, you couldn't just do random products anymore. If you're starting from scratch, just selling on Amazon. So that's a good thing. But also what we're seeing is that's getting harder and harder to sell.
What's getting harder to sell? The random product portfolio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know who mentioned this. It was definitely not you, but someone who said, start a different brand for each product you create. It's ridiculous.
Who would give that advice?
I don't know, but I have conversations with people. I've got 3 brands, and then we go to look at the business. This is not 3 brands. This is 3 products. There's not any brand synergy.
Whoever said that should be hit in the shoulder with a wet dog.
With a wet
A wet dog.
A wet
dog.
A wet dog.
Have you ever been hit?
Cash.
Have you ever been hit in the shoulder, particularly the left shoulder, with a wet dog?
Doesn't sound like
You
fun.
don't
But
want
yeah,
you don't want to
that should
find
be
out what that's like. You know what they say about that? It hurts like a bitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. I'm a dad.
I think we just lost everyone.
Yeah.
We're done. Shut it all down.
There's now a bunch of dirty-mouthed 6-year-olds who are watching, thinking it's hilarious. I was having breakfast with Esther this morning, and she was laughing hysterically at all the ridiculous things I do, and I was like, finally, someone understands me. Took 31 years. Someone finally understands my sense of humor.
It was bound to happen.
Eventually, if I sneak out enough kids, one of them will find me funny. That's my strategy. Oh, hey, Patrick Fisher on YouTube. Good to see you, dude. I see you. You're right. We need to pay more attention to YouTube. Sorry, the comments disappear. That's what makes it so difficult. Dr. Clement, how you doing over there?
Good. I'm getting drunk.
Hey.
Hey.
We're only 4 sips away from
Yeah, that's
sorry.
right. That's right. We've got 3 millimeters left, everybody, until we can tell a good story. Hey, Katie Dorish, good to see you. Who else we got? Jake Slater. He says, sidetrack much? Well, sometimes. Hey, Timothy Sullivan. What are the hottest categories these days? That's actually a really interesting question. In terms of, I'm gonna say, hold on. There's a really long comment on YouTube that I tried to read in under 5 seconds and it didn't happen. All right, so a question about hottest or hottest categories right now. I'm gonna let you answer that from a sales perspective,
Right.
and then I'll go into it from an actual business perspective.
Cool. So one of the cool things, one of the best decisions we made 2 years ago when we started out, I was looking around for how to value an Amazon related brand, and what I decided to do was start tracking the entire market. So not just the listings we had, look at everything that was available online. The first try of this, I had about 16, 17 listings when I first trawled the internet to do this. So we've been doing this consistently every month for 2 years. And about a year ago, we started doing this weekly because there was so many deals closing, so many new listings with an Amazon sales channel. So I have a decent amount of data to go off this, and I can actually share an article we wrote. So we did a 2017 wrap of business sales. So there's 174 sales, 320
Totally,
plus
like
million.
in the total market, or
So this is just public.
okay.
Publicly available confirmed sales. So there was some unknowns, there was some other, and definitely some other deals off market that just weren't public, right? So out of those deals that we saw close, 174 deals closing in 2017 publicly, the top category was home and kitchen by a decent margin.
Wow.
Yeah.
That actually
So-
really surprises me.
Yeah, so everyday products.
Sorry to interrupt, but when you say top, does that mean in profitability?
Most
does that,
closed sales.
most-
closed transactions.
most businesses bought?
Sold, yes.
And do you discriminate against like price, or is this like, could this theoretically be there were 100 kitchen brands that sold for $10,000?
It could be, but it's not. So yeah, I'd have to pull up the data
All right, well,
actually
so-
show
so-
you.
so, yeah.
But yes, no, this is across the whole market.
What I'm kind of getting at is like, just because there's a high number of transactions in a market doesn't mean that it's necessarily the most profitable market.
Right.
But it does mean there's a lot of buyers for that
Yes.
market, I think is what you're saying.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily like when you consolidate the data. Do you actually know what the like sale price is?
No, generally not.
So you just know that the transaction.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. We try and get transparency, but a lot of my fellow brokers don't want to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
As much as I think the market is massive and we do more if we collaborated, a lot of people don't want to do that, which
Hey,
is fine.
So I'm just going to give a public endorsement to Corin right now, since he brought up his broker buddies. I know a lot of you follow me because you run businesses that are physical products brands or you sell on Amazon. And Corin is just a good dude. I just love hanging out with the guy. I called a good friend today, and I was like, I just love my new friend Corin. I was like, I just love hanging out with him. I'm so excited that he's thinking about moving to Austin. My heart's a little bit broken. I thought you were going to be here for a few months and not just here visiting. But if you have an Amazon-based business, FBA Broker is somebody that I've been recommending a lot of people connect with because he's just an overall good dude, and you'll like hanging out with him. Please continue. Hottest categories.
Thank
Home
you.
and kitchen is where
Thank
a lot
you
of.
for that.
You're
The,
welcome.
The cash is sliding across the table.
Well, I mean, selfish. Like Corin and I have kicked around a couple ideas of potentially working together that get me really excited. Selfishly, I hope one of those come to materialize.
Also, quick update: Leon H or Leon HR says I
Oh.
sold my business with Corin.
Yeah.
Great
Thank
guy.
you. Actually, I have a story about Leon.
Let's hear it.
Thanks
Wait,
for
are we allowed to share good stories until Clement drinks? I think we might have
We've
to-
gone there already.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
we
don't think
started,
so.
Like,
This is probably the most you've ever drank on a line with
Probably,
Lion.
yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
for sure. All right, well, let one story pass through the filter. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Thanks for jumping on, Leon. I was hoping you'd put your hand up when you came on. So, Leon, we're in the process of transferring his deal right now. And we were talking on Slack yesterday. He said, "Oh, I see you're in Austin. Enjoy it. If you see Ryan, he said, please thank him for helping with all his content for me to build a 7-figure business that we've
Awesome.
now sold." So that was great. And the second thing he said, which isn't going to be a problem thanks to Clement, is don't get too drunk.
Well, we can't get drunk when there's no wine because it's all in Clement's glass.
and the bottle there.
Yeah, look.
And the many bottles in the
Look,
cabinets.
Clement, I wanted to share this bottle with you. I haven't even revealed what the wine is. This is a special wine.
I can see that. Yes.
It's a special wine,
Yes.
okay? And I wanted to drink it with you.
Yeah.
And then you poured. And that is a good story. So Leon found our work, built a 7-figure brand, found you,
Yeah.
sold for a fat payday, and here we are.
Yeah.
And now we're all hanging out.
Pretty awesome.
I say we do some 8-figure brands next.
Yes,
What do you
let's
say
do it.
about that?
Let's do it.
I know some people. We can make
Cool.
that happen.
I like it.
All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat box. If you're watching live and you are just joining us, please say hi in the comments box. We'd love to see who we're hanging out with. Whoa! Spoiler alert! Bomb drop. Catherine Lavery is here. Hey! Do you know Catherine Lavery?
No, I don't.
She's pretty spectacular.
Sounds pretty
Very mysterious.
Okay.
Very mysterious. Got a weird accent.
Yeah,
Ooh.
weird.
Because it's too slight to notice, and you're like, is that an accent? I'm not sure if it's an accent at all.
Where's
Yeah.
she from?
Poland, I think.
Poland.
or
really?
Japan. I'm
Oh,
not
no,
sure.
Scotland?
Poland
pretty
or
close.
Japan.
Irish?
Yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
close.
She's
Right
from-
by
she's
you.
from everywhere.
Right
Yeah,
by
yeah.
you in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next door.
You in your veterinarian career, you worked on some Antarctic polar bears, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. What was that like? Is it
Course.
true? Is it true that a polar bear liver has so much vitamin A in it that one bite will kill you?
I wouldn't know.
Someone Google that. Someone Google that. Vitamin. Not you, C Money. It's not fun if it's somebody who's in the room. What's up, Micah Bratt? Good to see you.
So have you seen?
Jessica Yonker, my high school crush,
Ooh.
is watching. I don't know why.
Maybe the shirt.
It could. Yeah, it must be
Doesn't
it.
say.
I mean, she's married now with like 7 kids, but yes, my high school crush is currently watching right now.
Okay.
Let's see who else. Who else we got? Hey, Omer, good to see you. All right. We might be at story time.
Yeah, we are.
I think we're about. I think we're like 3 sips away.
Maybe one more sip.
Maybe one
But
sip
a-
away.
A proper
One
sip, like you mean it.
Like, all right, that was almost a real sip. All right, so, when Corin flew all the way from Prague, Antarctica to Ukraine,
Yeah.
and I flew from Austin, Texas, we were having a conversation, and thank goodness C Money had the camera rolling. We posted it on YouTube. And we were talking about what happens after you sell a business. And Corin, you were telling the story about Jerry Seinfeld,
Yeah.
and I would like for you to tell that story again.
Yeah. So I might tell it a little bit different because we'd had wine at that point. We haven't now, so it might be a different story.
We've just renamed the show to Wine with Clement.
So something, when you think about achieving goals, what life is going to be like after X happens, we're all kind of pushing towards X. I watched a documentary with Jerry Seinfeld on Netflix, and it was Before Seinfeld. This is the name of the documentary. And something that really stood out to me was, on the outside looking in, you'd think that Jerry Seinfeld, being a billionaire or close to
Crazy.
whatever it
He's
is,
a comedian and he's a billionaire.
ridiculous
Nuts.
money from doing something awesome like being a comedian. You think this is the pinnacle, but actually in that documentary, he was really vulnerable, and he said when he was starting out, he actually thought his version of success when he started was having enough money to buy a loaf of bread and sit on the sidewalk when other people were going to work. I've made it.
I remember
I've
you
made it.
I remember you saying like if he could just pay for dinner with the money that he made
Yeah.
from stand-up comedy, that was like
Yeah.
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And did I tell you why that created such a shift for me? Have I told
No.
you that part? Well, here we go. I'll tell you the story live. What that did for me is it actually put me into like a contemplation mode of, wait, Jerry Seinfeld is a billionaire doing something that he's good at doing, that he loves to do, and he didn't care about the result, right? And here I am, you know, on a mission to buy the Cleveland Indians, which is going to cost about $1 billion. And I'm looking at like all these strategies that are going to get me there, and it's fun for me to read the books and invest in the businesses, and like all that's great. But I started to look at, well, maybe my best shot at being a billionaire is doing the things that make me deliriously happy.
No,
Because you're bound to get really good at them. And I don't necessarily believe in like following your passion. I don't think that's always good advice. But if you can marry that with a really good strategy, that overall is a good sign. That's like a perfect mathematical formula for success and happiness. So for me, I started to look at what are the things in my business that I'm doing just for the strategy that take me out of a point of creating a lot of energy or having a really good time, and what are the things in my business where I'm doing them that I really love, and let's cut off everything else.
Yeah.
And since I've started doing that, like my like focus is coming back, the team is rallying. I think people like hanging out with me more because I was trading energy for the result rather than building something that supported what I really wanted to do, which I realized after that conversation would be my best shot at being a billionaire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that with me.
No,
And you've been really successful in your area of expertise, and you say, I can't believe people pay me to do this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. When I started out, I was actually doing it for free.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I had people reaching out saying, how do you evaluate? In fact, I started out buying and selling digital assets. And I had friends saying, well, how do you even evaluate a business when you're looking to buy? What's a good deal? What's a bad deal?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side was, how do you actually prepare for a sale? And I just have these conversations. The first time this happened was in Berlin 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. A friend of mine said, if you can look at this website I'm thinking of buying, I'll buy you lunch. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go
So
hang
you
out.
literally were like, if I could get dinner paid for, it would be just
Exactly.
awesome. That's
Exactly.
that's
And then
funny.
people just kept coming back. I'm like, wait, I actually prefer, so we're making good money off the deals we acquired, the stuff we're growing and building, sort of like the 4-hour work week. We actually had the 4-hour work week. I was fucking miserable. I hated it.
What were you doing when
So
you were living the 4-hour work week?
yeah, so we had a bunch of a portfolio of affiliate sites. We were building, which we eventually sold, built from scratch an e-commerce business. We were buying, building, selling. Basically, that was the whole model. And things were working, cash was coming in. I was miserable because what I actually need is this. I need to be dealing with people that are, happy, moving forward.
Yeah.
So what I do now isn't work for me for the most part. 90% of the time it's not work. 10% of course there's going to be times where, oh shit, I got to do this. But for the most part I'm dealing with positive people that have built great businesses. On the buy side, man, the larger buyers are excellent to work with. They're motivated, they're kicking goals, they have big objectives, and it pushes you to go farther.
So you
further.
started in doing like you were actually in the weeds.
Yes. Yep.
Building digital assets.
And investing myself. Yeah, taking the risks, taking some hits, the whole deal. Yeah, both sides of the coin, like you guys.
Now, do you currently invest yourself in existing brands, or are you kind of out of the market in?
So we have an FBA business, a supplement brand that we have.
There's no money in supplements. Everybody knows there's no
Zero,
money in
zero.
supplements. Yeah.
I've actually run the numbers of selling that, and I make such a good return in my pocket that I don't have anywhere better to put that money right now. So to answer your question, not at the minute, but what I'm seeing is a huge opportunity in my space. I've looked at this a couple different ways. I no longer see using my own capital as the best avenue to chase down.
And where did you come to that conclusion?
Once I started talking to enough people.
Yep.
Same
with me.
Once you see the power of scale, you realize that doing this small scale with your own cash is pretty much a dumb move. The risk is very high. you deploy all your capital very quickly, so you don't have the chance to scale once something's working.
So, Corin, I want to pause there because I can't wait to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I think it's time.
Okay.
I think it's time that we had some wine.
Yes. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, you come to my house,
Touched.
you down your first glass in like 39 seconds. Dr. Juan is
Still drinking.
he's almost there. He's almost there, and I've had 2 sips. So
Cool.
here we are.
Do you want to take this one?
What's that?
Do you want to take this
Oh.
one, and I'll take the last
The next
bottle?
bottle. I thought you're saying we should give this to Dr. Clement. He'll it's been open for 45 minutes. All right, so I want to share. This is from Salt Lick Cellars. So somebody posted in the comments, do you have any recommendations for a Texas wine? I actually don't like a lot of Texas wine, except for this one. This Barbecue Red is my jam, from Driftwood, Texas, just down the road, where we just had our quarterly retreat in Driftwood, Texas, and looks to be, hopefully, the hometown of the Capitalism Compound when it is built. That's what we're hoping for. Corin,
You're building the compound?
yes, have I not told you this?
No. I heard about the lake house, but not.
Okay, so the lake house is stage 1, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of years ago, I kind of looked at this life that we're all building, doing internet marketing, and realized we were a bunch of really lonely entrepreneurs. And when I had my exit last year, I looked at my ideal life, and I was like, what I really want is I want to wake up in the morning and cook breakfast with my best friends. I want to get a workout in, record some videos, help out some businesses, and work with amazing people. I was like, that sounds like my ideal day, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a way to just live that life within the current context of how my life looks. So I was like, I guess I'm just gonna have to build this. So the 2 scenarios of that were, if I had a home that everybody wanted to come to, and I had business partners there, and we had a cool video studio there, and there was a cool gym there, and we could have masterminds there, that would be really cool. And if we got bored, we could hop on some jet skis and jet around the lake. So I bought a lake house that I'm renovating. It'll be ready in a couple weeks. And then the second part of that was, well, you know what would even be better is if you had a retreat center where people would even fly their teams or stay there for months at a time because everything was provided for you. And if you were writing a book, you could rent a spot on the land, and you could be there for 3 months writing your book, and then 3 times a day you could go to the community quarters and have dinner and lunch with your best friends. Yeah. And when you wanted to get away, you could go back to your tiny home and work away at your laptop. So I'm currently looking at acreage in Driftwood, Texas, which is about 20 minutes outside of town, to build the compound over the next couple of years. I'll need my next windfall before I can do it the way that I want to do it. But I'm starting to kick some tires.
Cool.
That's why you need to move to Austin, Texas.
That sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. Doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Isn't that what life's about? Being with your closest relationships, working on projects that you're excited about. What do you think of that, Dr. Clement? I've actually never asked your opinion on the compound.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think, it makes a lot of sense.
Would cash be welcome?
I don't know.
Buddy,
I
cash.
don't
Yeah.
know. So I was even thinking about like the ideal life for pets. You realize when we domesticate animals, we just put them in cages and put them in home. We completely ruin their lives. What we could do though is if we had pets on a compound and they ran around a bunch of acreage. Now that's a cool idea. All right, who else we got? Oh, we got. You know who Leanne Woodmass is?
No. Still nothing.
She keeps compounding. Rick says that I must be wearing your shirt, Dr.
Yeah,
Clement.
very accurate.
That's okay. Lane Etheridge, what's going on, dude? Who else we got? Chris Van Loan II. Do you know who that is? Hey, Nick Torson, what's going on? Justin Aubrey is saying that Aubrey Marcus is an example of somebody who has built their life around their zone of genius. I completely agree. I feel inspired every time I hang out with the guy. Oh boy. Hey, Clement, will you say that name for us? Will you say hi to Michael?
Michael Radzkevsky?
The doctor says that's how you pronounce it.
Zesky.
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed that one.
Radzkevsky. That's how I pronounce it.
Brian Bolin, hello. What's going on? All right. We finally get to try some wine.
Yes. Excellent.
Check this wine. Would you like to join us in drinking this one?
Eventually.
we got a couple more hours before we get there.
Yeah. I'm already ahead by more than an hour.
Oh, I love this one. What is your review on the barbecue red Gorenwood Mess?
It's okay. I think it
Uh-oh.
would be better with steak. So yeah, it is a barbecue.
So you prefer the Mayomi?
No, I think this. So I like this because we were having it with pizza before.
Uh-huh.
The pizza you made, which was awesome, and this would just be better with steak.
But overall, as a
Well,
drinking wine, how do you rate it?
It's nice. So I'm really a beer guy.
You're a beer guy.
Aren't all
And here we
wines
are.
drinking wines?
So is it a drink? Yeah.
You know what? That's a fair point. See, money.
I'm Australian. I like Shiraz.
Okay, yeah.
Like a big. It's not a big flavor. So, yeah. But it's nice.
Well, I
it's
like
something
it.
you could drink.
So we have different palates. What do you like about a Shiraz?
Just that there's more to it. You drink it, it's like, whoa. It's almost like a whiskey. Like there's a good whiskey, there's just more flavor happening. It's more powerful. That's what I like. This is nice. There's flavor here, but it's not big. It's not punching you in the face. So.
Well, got bad news for you, Corin. This is the best Texas wine that you will find.
Hey, two things, Corn. Aiden says, I like kangaroos.
Cool.
And two, Jay Gabrani says...
Yeah, that's a great question.
They're tasty.
Sorry to cut you off, but I want to make this like one of the banner questions for when we cut it up. So I just wanted to highlight it. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, and Jay Gabrani asks if you could touch again on the different multiples of different industries.
Yeah, so are there different multiples depending on the industry that you're in? Does that actually impact the amount that you're going to sell for?
Yeah, absolutely. We work that into our multiples. That being said, one of the categories that has the most that you'll see this the most is supplements, actually, health supplements. So buyers are split down the middle. They'll either hate them or love them. Right? There's no in between. Whereas if it's a home and kitchen product, the chances of you appealing to a wider audience and getting a better multiple are higher. So we actually use category as part of our valuation.
So are you saying that a supplement, because it is a polarizing, if you will, it's harder to get a buying war, so it's higher to get a higher multiple? Harder to get a higher multiple? You're not saying that. Okay.
It just won't appeal to as many buyers.
Okay.
Because some buyers, especially in the private equity space, they are hell no on ingestibles. Anything that could potentially create some issues, that they don't like the liability aspect. So they're just out altogether.
So how does that play into your projection of the market or the business sale?
Yeah, so there's a lot more that goes into the evaluation than just the category. But category does play, but it's not a massive difference. There's not a 10 times better multiple for home and kitchen versus supplements.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's more of a nuanced thing.
So when you say it's a nuanced thing, like I would imagine characteristics like repeat buyers is considerably different than
For sure.
like, because home and kitchen, I would imagine it's a lot more difficult to get those repeat buyers, whereas like supplements, hopefully if you're doing well, people
Home and kitchen lend itself to replacement parts.
Okay.
So if you get the two going together, it's quite good. But yeah, recurring income is great because it gives you longevity, especially if a friend of mine sold a very decent supplement business, another friend that was in supplements, and they were doing a lot of their business repeat purchase through their own website.
Mhm.
And that played well in their multiple when they went to sell.
Now, have you looked and tracked kind of what kind of impact the repeat purchasing kind of behavior versus industry? Like what do you see as some of the bigger drivers in terms of value?
Yeah, so brand is number one. Brand synergy is definitely number one. Number two is net margin. So your actual net margin, how much net profit over the last 12 months divided by your revenue, giving you your net margin percentage. That's the thing that gives you flexibility. So that's what buyers are really looking for. And then, product range comes into play. The type of product, how defensible it is.
So you talk about brand. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so kind of like what I was saying before. If I sold this glass and I called it wine,
that'd be a good wine.
That is not a brand. You sell one type of glass, and it's called wine glasses, or whatever. That is not a brand. There's nothing outside of Amazon. No one's looking for wine glasses yet. You could do this off the back of this show.
It's coming, everybody. It's gonna sweep
huge.
the nation.
That's huge.
So how do you value that? Because is it like porn? You know it when you see it, or is it like?
Is it like porn?
Is it like porn? That's the obvious question that
legal
everyone's
definitions
asking.
is like I can't remember what the ruling was, but yeah, like the idea.
Can you explain what you mean by like porn?
So
Can you explain what porn is, Dr. Clement? From your medical opinion, what exactly is porn?
Moving on.
We need to get him a little more drunk to talk about porn. Okay.
We'll talk about this later.
Okay.
So like you talk about branding, but is there when you say people are looking at brands as being a driving value, how do you know that? Like how is a brand evaluated? Because for some people, brand just means slapping on a nice looking label and being consistent across a couple products. Versus
So a good example of this is there's extreme examples, of course. Apple, Nike. There's niche examples of this, like AeroPress. People pay more for an AeroPress because it's AeroPress.
Yeah.
Right. And they built a brand story. People search for this. People talk about it. You go to a coffee shop and they
Is that the coffee maker, AeroPress?
Yeah. We have one of
That's
these.
just
It's like
yeah.
it looks like a big needle kind of. What do you call that? Hypodermic.
I'm terrified of needles.
Yeah.
I would never buy an AeroPress.
That's pretty
I
awesome.
wake up in the morning, look at my coffee machine.
People
I don't want my
actually-
coffee anymore.
So they did such a great job telling the story of why this is so great. People go to a regular coffee shop. They have them down here at Merritt's, the awesome coffee shop we're telling you about. They have AeroPress there. It's on the menu. You can order AeroPress coffee.
What?
Yes. So this is a brand.
Who would want needle coffee?
So
So
but just still drilling down on that, because again, like how do buyers value or look at that? Because is it just that they see it and then they feel that it is the case, or are there objective metrics around this?
Yeah. So the best way to do this is to prove it. So if you have, a Facebook page of social media following on its own won't increase value. But if that group, if you launch a new product, say AeroPress, we've launched AeroPress version 2. Actually, this is a bad example, but using that as an example, we've launched version 2 and everyone runs to go get it immediately. So you know what, how people used to do the blasts for cheap giveaways to get reviews. This is the opposite of that. People actually are waiting for your next thing.
Yeah.
Apple stores, they're lined up out around the block when a new product's coming out. So that is a way to prove this, that you have a real brand following. People love what you're doing, is they're lined up when you're ready to go. And you can demonstrate that, you can prove it. Okay, on launch day here's what activity we had in the Facebook group, here's the sales on day 1. So there's a direct correlation. That's just one example.
Man, if it
Email
was
list.
just somebody who was teaching had been talking about this for the last several years, we'd all be better off by now.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Email list, people, could you show up in an event? So if you're in whatever niche, knitting, could you go to a knitting event and people line up at your booth? Do people actually know? Have you been out and tested the temperature of the market? Do people actually care? And that's the thing, that is there knitting events, worldwide knitting events, that you see an uptick in sales that are unseasonable, unseason related. So you can say to a buyer, hey, when knitting X20 was on, we saw a boost in sales. You know, this type of stuff really plays
that matters
in value.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so anything you can, it's not enough to just say this is a nice logo. It's outside of the sphere of Amazon, what does this do? And even inside Amazon, what's the search volume for your own terms?
Okay.
Do you convert well on your own terms? Are people searching for AeroPress or whatever it might be?
See, Money, you have our first drunk dial of the night?
Our first
All right, we're gonna hand it right over to the drunk doctor, Dr. Clement Wan. Hey, you're on with Wine with Clement. Who we got on the line?
Wait, am I on the line?
I hear a mysterious voice.
Yeah,
It sounds like an
you are.
old woman in Maine. Is that you? An old woman in Maine? Is that you, Brock?
An old woman in Maine? No, I'm not an old woman in Maine.
Oh, we got the wrong caller on the line. See, Money. Where's the old woman in Maine? Brock, welcome to Wine with Wyan. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just looking forward to Brent Builder Summit.
Oh, are you all signed up?
Yes, I am. We've got a group of 4 of us coming, so
Good man.
looking forward to that.
Good man.
So my question would be, how would one go about getting the most out of the experience, or how would you go about getting the most out of the experience if you weren't in your position?
So, tell me a little bit about your business, and then I'll guide you from there.
Yeah, so, well, I had my business back in the past where I was selling solar eclipse glasses, and we crushed it with that.
You're selling what kind of glasses?
Solar eclipse.
Solar eclipse glasses.
Oh, Brock, I remember this. Keep going.
Yeah, so did 0 to 6 million in 6 months with that.
That's okay.
It was just
6 million in 6
amazing.
months.
And,
That's okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. And then now, yeah, just switching over to new physical product brand, which I'll be launching at the end of the year here. And I've been building up my YouTube channel, so and then just releasing everything that I know. But I didn't really call in about that. I'm not trying to promote anything like that. I was more so calling of how you get the most out of personal, like in-person events.
Yeah. So and obviously it's going to depend on where you are in your business. And what I'm hearing you say, Brock, is you had a business that made a bunch of money. It was a very seasonal product, extremely seasonal product. And now you're working on some new things. And so you're going to an event where there's some really great people going to be hanging out and talking shop. And you're wondering how you get the most out of that. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially.
So I don't know what you're up to in life besides preparing for these other brands, but it sounds to me like you need to be in yes mode. And yes mode means you're looking for opportunities to open up. You're looking for new partnerships that excite you. You're looking for new ideas because you've got fresh eyes, you're flush with cash, you got some time, you have a little bit of experience. So you get to be the chooser in terms of what opportunities you pursue. To me, that's yes mode. So your goal at an event like Brand Builder Summit is to be looking at the people in the room that you might want to start new businesses with, the people that look like ideal partners for you, and the ideas that are going to be shared from stage that give you that fresh perspective on something that you haven't considered before. And you're like, oh, dude, that's the thing we're going to go all in on. For example, like one of the things we're testing right now internally is we're getting leads on ManyChat. We're getting ManyChat leads plus an email address for cheaper than we could get just an email address. So because I was in the mode of I'm looking for new opportunities, I was like, team, go all in on ManyChat and email, this combo. Back up the Brinks truck, put all the advertising budget into that platform. Build up that. And we're getting we're actually getting more ManyChat subscribers than we are email subscribers right now. That's just an example of like a tactic that if you've got fresh eyes, you'll be able to see that's an opportunity that I'm gonna go all in on. Maybe Catherine Lavery will be sharing about what's working really well on crowdfunding or on Shopify, or Ezra Firestone will be talking about building up audiences, or you'll be learning from Chaz Smith about video marketing, or you'll be learning from Corin Woodmass, who's going to be speaking at Brand Builder Summit about some of the businesses that are being positioned for sale. And one of those things will give you an idea, and you're like, all right, team, there's 4 of us here. We got some cash. We got some flexibility. This is the direction that we're going to go. By the way, this is the partner that I just met for this. That's the type of perspective that I would encourage you to have going to an event like Brand Builder Summit.
Oh, all right. Yeah, no, that's where I'm interested in meeting those people that really match with me. But the thing is it's always a busy space, and so
it's a what
I guess
space?
I have a hard time. Well, no. It's just like there's a lot of people at events, and I guess where like going up and just like cold talking to people is not my style, and that's kind of where I'm more weak at. I'm more analytical, super high thinking, but it's just like approaching people who I'm qualified to speak to, but internally don't always think that I'm like qualified to go up there.
Yeah, I totally get it.
How do you get to that point?
One of the stories that I like to tell is that one of my first events, I noticed that I got super depressed by like the end of day 2. And the reason was because the perception from stage is all these people are killing it. What am I doing wrong? And the truth was, I fit in with the rest of the group just like everybody. Right? But the perception is everybody's sharing their best stuff. Everybody's playing a who's got a bigger dick contest. And as a result, it's really easy to feel kind of bad about yourself, which is why our events are really, really different. And there's no ego at our events. Like at Brand Builder Summit, you're literally going to be around a campfire cooking s'mores with a multi-millionaire who's doing a roll-up, and you won't even know what he does for a living because you're sitting there talking about some unrelated topic while you're cooking a s'more, and then later you go have a glass of wine and a beer and you start talking business. That's the type of environment that we build at our events, specifically Brand Builder Summit. We're outside of town, we're in the wilderness, in this fancy resort that's in the middle of nowhere. We're gonna have campfires, I'll probably bust out my guitar, we'll drink too much wine, there'll be a bunch of keynotes, we'll have a bunch of fun, and maybe some business will get done.
That's what I like to hear.
All right, great. Well, good. Then you're coming to the right event. Brock, I'm excited. I'm excited to meet you in person, man.
Tell them, man, come and say hi.
All right, man. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
One quick thought is like you said, you're coming with 4 people, and I think like what I've seen be very successful is like when people come in couples, they split up. Like you try to meet people that you don't kind of meet together, or like you meet separately, and so that gives you an opportunity to play the field.
Make sense, Brock?
Oh.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
no,
he needs a
because
wing
I mean, I'm coming with my friend, but yeah, I definitely want to not stick with that. I want to talk and meet with them because we're all YouTubers, so we kind of know each other digitally, but I don't want to be constrained. But they're probably all watching this too, so hey guys. Awesome. And then, I guess if I could add in one more question. Have you ever heard of somebody that successfully used a physical product as a lead-in for building a software company? So lost leader or break even to then build a software company.
You can make any funnel work.
Or vice versa.
I can't think of any specific examples, but yeah, you can totally make that work.
Okay. I was just wondering if you knew someone that did it.
I can't think of any. I can't think of any examples, but
Apple maybe.
Well,
They made money on the products too, but it was the back end that made the money.
I guess Apple would be a perfect example. Now I just feel silly and. We just dropped YouTube. Gosh, we're so mean to YouTube. Brock is gonna kill us because he's a YouTuber. So, Brock, yeah, the products just need to correlate with one another, or the person needs to be the same. If you can do that, I mean, look, business is just people. So Absolutely, you can make the two fit.
You could also argue Microsoft was maybe an even better example because like ultimately they bundled everything in, so it's not really a loss. Well, I guess it was
What-
a loss leader.
Was it a loss leader?
Well, they sold it into PCs and then ultimately
Okay.
people had to upgrade or like they sold their Office suite.
So the answer is yes, absolutely.
All right.
All right, thanks, Brock. We'll see you in a few
That's what I
weeks.
like to hear. Thanks, and I'll see you guys in August.
All right, man. See you soon.
See you, Brock.
Yep, have a great night.
So my favorite part of that was where relationship expert Dr. Juan said, the best thing for a relationship is when you split up and play the field.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And that's what's,
sage advice.
that's what's going to happen at Brand Builder Summit. All of the couples are going to split up and play the field.
Mandatory.
Hey, as somebody who's skeptical of the traditional marriage model, this sounds like my kind of an event.
Everyone's in the same hotel, right?
Everyone is in the same hotel. Oh, this could get what?
Keys
And Aubrey
in the
Marcus
bowl.
is going to be there.
Oh my God.
You never know what's going to happen when Aubrey Marcus
He'll
is
get
going
all
to be
the
there.
women, and we'll just be
Woo!
cooking s'mores.
This
hanging out.
is the Brand Builder Summit just got a whole new audience. Can we boot? Please boost this. Boost the recording to everybody who likes the book, The Ethical Slut. That's our new market, everybody. That's how we're gonna market capitalism.com to everybody who reads Sex at Dawn and The Ethical Slut.
Couldn't be the worst thing.
Good people.
You know,
Solid.
sometimes those are the kind of people you want in your audience.
Right.
You can charge higher ticket prices for that. Look, everybody in the audience has read The Ethical Sluts. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's going to be in the same hotel.
Keys in a bowl. Musical rooms.
I had to think there for a second what that reference was, too.
Who's Leanne Whitmess?
Was it? I don't know how to pivot out of that one.
We just let it simmer.
We're just gonna sit in the ethical
I'll tell
slutness
you
here.
what, I got a mom question here.
You have a mom question?
Yeah, my mom.
That was a hard pivot.
My mom asked a question.
Your mom's watching. This got weird. I'm
Uh,
glad my mom doesn't know what I do for a living.
Question to Corin: have there been studies showing if a brand is aesthetically pretty that the product will do well?
That's an interesting question.
How would
So
you measure
how
that?
do you
Yeah,
factor
that's actually a
how
really
do you
interesting.
factor design in sort of design aesthetics?
Yeah, and how would you
to
measure that?
A brand's
Yeah,
sort
as
of
far,
value.
that's a great question. As far as a study, I'm not aware of a specific study. Just what we see from buyers. So what I'm kind of biased now. I look at everything as a buyer. So we're seeing what buyers look at when they look at a brand and a business is what we reflect when we're talking to sellers. So you could argue that something that looks nicer, has a better aesthetic, a better use, could have a higher value, but it's not always the case. Some things are over-designed and too expensive to sell. So, yeah, I don't have anything intelligent to say on that. I was fishing there. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mum.
I think you could make the argument that like when things look better, you sell more anyway. So like,
Right.
it's the way I see a lot of design is it's about reducing the friction to the sale. It's about increasing the trust that
Yeah.
people can have in a product that it'll actually do what it says because you don't have spelling mistakes. It looks kind of nice. It doesn't look like somebody just slapped on a label to sell on Amazon.
But that in a vacuum doesn't do it. Do you remember the brand TVR, the car brand TVR?
There's a car brand called
I know
TVR.
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
so
don't.
there's a lot of car brands that launch. They look cool. The DeLorean, like at the time, wow, this is amazing, awesome looking car.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It was a commercial flop. So the two don't necessarily.
Well-
if you just focus on one,
Oh,
if you just
yeah.
focus on this part, it doesn't mean a home run.
Yeah, and I think like you still need to have like an underlying great product.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, Well, actually, Apple is a good example of how technologically it's probably not the most advanced product,
Yeah.
but people buy it because it works.
Mhm.
Like when I bought my Apple, it was kind of, or my iPhone, I was really debating whether or not to get something else because like functionally, technically, it's probably slower, the tech is worse, but because like I don't want to worry about the fact that it crashes, the fact that things aren't compatible, and
Yeah.
like I just want it to work.
Yeah.
And I would add that, to your point, it's very hard to measure prettiness or design, but good branding raises profit margins.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
charge
if you
higher
can charge more,
prices for
absolutely.
good branding,
Yeah.
for that trust factor that people put into design, and that can obviously improve the profitability of any business.
And like brand valuation, for instance, the way that I can't remember who the agency who does like brand valuation, and then they value like the most valuable brands,
Mhm.
but it's based on net present value of like the incremental price or margin that they can get based on the brand.
Mm. And Warren Buffett's a big fan. You know, they
I've heard Warren Buffett is semi-successful, right?
he's done okay.
He's like number 4
Kind
richest
of,
though.
but
He's
only in
slipping.
a short period. Let's see him over a
few
few
more
more
years.
years.
Okay, all right.
Just a
We
couple
can't
more.
evaluate his results just yet.
Let's see another century, and then we'll know. Then we'll know.
If he lives another 100 years, I'd give him success just for that. You can finish your thought, Corin.
Yeah, that
Warren
You know,
Buffett. That was my thought.
yeah. One of the things so have you read The Snowball? I love this book.
I've not.
It's the closest we'll ever get to an autobiography with Warren Buffett because he's not going to write one. So he hand selected a.
Well, given
Finance
100
writer.
years, he might.
He might actually turn around and write it. But yeah, so this book is essentially the autobiography of Warren Buffett, and him and Charlie went in the early days when they were actually both acquiring things on their own. And one of the things that they decided upon was really important was the brand behind the candy company, C's
Yeah.
Candy, and Coca-Cola and stuff, that they discovered that people would continue buying something and the brand actually mattered. So that's what they started investing in, and it's turned out pretty bloody well. Yeah, so that's the end of the film.
We got one more drunk dial?
Yeah.
All right.
This is Mr. Brian. Oh no.
Well, and actually on the point of Warren Buffett, it's interesting like how Berkshire Hathaway is like it almost failed before they actually got traction.
Well, it did. It did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a carpet manufacturer, like
Mm.
the predecessor
Textiles. Yeah.
to that before he decided to get into
Huh.
like insurance and stuff. Like
Yeah, they
I didn't
leveraged
know
that
that part.
business to buy
That's
an insurance
crazy.
company.
I did
Yeah,
not know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Brian, you're live with Wine with Wyan. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Oh, well, night's going a little bit slow because Clement's still on his first glass of wine, but we're doing okay, all things considered. What's
apparently
going
it
on
was
with
half a bottle though.
you? What's going on, Brian?
Not much. I actually had like a follow-up question to what Corin said a little bit earlier about appealing, if you will, to buyers, and it was this. Is there an ideal number of products and or a length of time in business that would make a physical product brand more appealing to buyers than another outside of the niche and, of course, the presence on Amazon or off of Amazon?
So that's a great question. So on the first question, the amount of products themselves, you really want diversification. So somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 30% of your revenue no one product should be more than 20 to 30% of your revenue ideally. So that's the product diversification breakdown.
So mathematically, would that mean that you should ideally have? Hey, dude, mute your computer, man. So ideally you would have 5 products. At
5
least.
Rockstar products.
5 good, like perfectly balanced portfolio. You'd have more than 5 products.
And that never happens.
Right,
Never
right.
happens. And the larger you get, the more diversification you'd want. So that's why the percentage matters.
Okay.
Yeah. So percentage matters. What was the second question, Brian? Sorry, man.
The second question is there an ideal length of time
Oh, time in business.
that a
Yeah.
buyer would want to have seen a business in business
Sure.
that would be appealing, or an ideal time in business?
Sure. So the rule of thumb here is on history of a business is history isn't an indicator of future success, as all the disclaimers say. But the longer a business has been doing something, the chances of it continue to do something is higher. And what a buyer will typically look at is year-over-year growth at minimum, and they want to see a forward momentum, a growing trend. So you may have 2 years of year-over-year growth, and that may be enough, but you wouldn't limit yourself. More, everything else being equal, more is better. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, actually, it does. Thank you very much. I appreciate that insight, and I ask that because right now I resell other people's products, and I do pretty well. I'm doing right around 50,000, 60,000 a month just reselling other
Nice.
people's products at around a 20% margin, which is, pretty decent.
Mhm.
My business partner and I are going to be launching a new brand in a specific niche where I forgot the word, where the demand, for the products is very, very high. But I think the margins might be around 30-ish%, if memory serves me correct. But there's about 20 different related products and even more accessories that go with them. And I was just wondering if there was an ideal number of products and length of time, because it wouldn't be too outside the realm of possibility that it could be $1 million a month brand, probably within several years, barring everything went according to plan. So I thought that was relevant.
Yeah, sounds like you're on a good path there, mate.
Go all in on that one.
Yeah. Take the profit from the wholesaling stuff, jam it into
Yep.
the brand that you're building,
Well-
and go for it.
Roll all of it into that thing, and then call Corin and myself in a couple of years when you want to have an 8-figure exit.
Well, actually, Ryan, I've been following you ever since the very, 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 very beginning of the ASN days, way back in March of 2013.
Wow.
I don't really do phone calls and things like that, so I'm familiar with what you do, and I've kept that in the back of my mind. When I actually get something that's, well, in your eyes, I believe you say, if you have $1 million a year business, that's really when it becomes an actual business. And
That's right.
the marker I'm using for what I'm trying to build. So yeah, when we get to that point, which I hope is sooner rather than later, we definitely want to position ourselves to sell for, I believe one of your terms is a whack ton of money.
That'd be a term I borrowed from the good doctor. Yes, sir. Well,
Yeah, so I will definitely be hopefully hitting you up within the next several years, or maybe 4, depending on how the cards fall, and the gentleman sitting to your left, and hopefully we have a very productive, very profitable conversation.
you're a good man, Brian. Thanks for following me for so long. Looking forward to working with you in the near future.
I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, Brian.
Bye.
That was cool.
Solid dude.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we got a millionaire in the making. All right, right there.
That's such a good play, though. Taking the cash flow business that isn't necessarily sellable. It's tough to sell a reseller business.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes
You're just selling
not.
cash flow at that point, so
Yeah.
you're gonna get a pretty low multiple on it.
But taking that cash and putting it into something that he's already figured out what that is too.
Yep.
Good margin, lots of product expansion opportunities.
Yep,
That's gold.
it's a good play.
That's gold.
Dr. Clement, you look like something's on your mind.
No. I said, well, actually, there's a good question here, and this is probably a general marketing question. Jay Gabrani asks, I want to teach my 11 and 13-year-olds about physical products businesses. Better to start them on merch or Amazon or FBA?
There's no money on Amazon. We all know there is no money on Amazon.
Well, merch
Is that
or
it?
FBA.
Yeah.
That was
have
easy.
have you sold any merch businesses?
No, we haven't. We've got one coming up that has a merch component, but we haven't sold a specific merch only business.
Merch
yet.
is a cash flow play.
Yeah, I think so too.
But if we're looking at an 11-year-old,
Yeah, I would say merch.
whatever's easiest for them to do,
Yeah.
whatever they get, whatever concept's easiest for them.
I wouldn't go products. I'd get them selling something.
Yeah, which is why I like merch. I was thinking.
You know what I did at I think it was 13 years old. I don't even think this was legal. I was selling. I was selling. No, that was 9. No, at 13 I was selling filtered water door to door, and it was the best job ever because it
Not
was
even
so fucking hard.
filters, just the water from.
The action, yeah. So they would deliver this water to you in these huge jugs.
Huh.
It was ridiculous. Such a dumb idea. But I lasted the longest out of all of the first. I think I lasted 3 rounds of kids who would meet at the Hungry Jack's. We'd get in the back of a van. Wait, that was another gig. No, then we'd go out and sell this filtered water, and I did okay at it. But it just taught me that you can talk to anyone, and even if someone doesn't need something, you can start a conversation and find a way that they'll need something that you have to sell. And I think that would set kids up. If I had kids, that's what I'd be doing, is teaching them how to sell.
Yeah.
Because selling one-to-one gives you such a great skill set. You're never hungry if you can sell one-to-one. So if you're destitute, if something goes really wrong in your life, you can go out, figure out how to make money instantly. So I think if it was me, that's what I'd train kids up with, and then take that to the next level. So if they're selling, everyone does this, but something like a lemonade thing. I have a friend in Barcelona actually. He's into infused teas and stuff. Like, this is his jam, and he creates his teas and he takes them down to the co-working space and shares them with people because he loves sharing his tea. You know, he could sell that and then eventually scale that up and make it a product business if he wanted to. So I think that interaction, getting rejection as well, is a really important skill set to overcome rejection.
Have you guys
That's
heard
what
of Junior Achievement?
No.
So Junior Achievement, I did Junior Achievement.
It looks like you're holding a stuffed animal right now.
Well,
He's just happy to see you.
It's kind of cute.
um,
Cash, would you like a glass of wine?
He just winked at you.
yeah, Junior Achievement is like high schoolers, and they also have like elementary school programs. So I don't know if they have that where you are, but it's for kids. They teach about business. You create a product, you create a physical product, and then you go around and actually sell it.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, the reason why I said merch too was because like it's easy to spin it up, and so then the focus becomes a little less on the production end. It's more about like isolating and figuring out how to sell, or thinking through ideas versus creating a product and selling it on Amazon has a lot more complexity. So whatever is easiest.
All right, it's time for our maybe not. I thought we had another
Now,
our
sorry,
last
get your hopes up.
our last drunk dial of the night, but
Can actually
Yes.
one more question? Like, can you tell us like how the makeup of buyers has changed over the
that's an
time that
interesting
you've-
question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So 2 years ago, the bulk of the buyers were, and still are at the lower end, novice buyers. So they're brand new to Amazon. They may be a high-paid executive. They've got cash in the bank. They do some courses. They're like, okay, I could do this online, this Amazon thing, but I have more cash and less time. So why don't I go buy something that's already working, put more cash into it, or buy multiple brands, put them together. So we've seen a number of these executives over the last few years do this successfully. And there's more buyers coming in at the lower end all the time. What we have seen, a year ago, I was giving a talk in Bangkok about price points and the buyer types at different price points. And the 1 to 5 million list price range used to be a massive black hole unless your business was pre-approved for SBA finance in the US. So there's all sorts of requirements behind that, which drives that level of the market. But in Q1 this year, a lot of companies have raised capital. A lot of our friends have raised capital to go and buy a bunch of brands. So right now, the first half of the year, 1 to 5 million was actually the hottest market of business
A
sales.
sale price of 1 to 5
Yes.
million?
Yeah, they were closing super fast. Lots of buyer competition. It's crazy.
Why do you say that's crazy? Because
The
like,
shift, the change happened really fast. Yeah, it happened in a couple of months.
do you see that continuing?
Yeah, so yes and no. So first half of this year, a lot of these guys had a thesis they ran, they raised capital, and they had to deploy the first tranche of cash. So they didn't just get a big lump of money, they got it in stages. And they needed to deploy X amount of cash to prove out the concept. One, they could deploy the capital. Two, they could actually run the businesses after buying them. So there will be a lull, but there is more and more buyers coming into the market and more traditional investors. So this week I've had maybe 4 different family offices reach out and say, we're looking for physical product brands specifically. So that's really interesting to me because traditionally family offices are very conservative, very traditional.
Right.
They love real estate. They love really established businesses.
Predictability.
Yeah.
What kind of criteria are they asking for?
Yeah. So at Brand Builder Summit, we'll actually have this on a slide. We've actually been working on this. So what we're actually doing is putting up some criteria with budget ranges
Okay.
because I find this fascinating, what people are actually asking for. And across the board, they're asking for growth, they're asking for margin, they're asking for brand. We've been hammering this brand point, but it really
I
actually
wish there was
matters.
somebody who's been talking about brand for the last couple of years so we would have known.
And then retail ready is something that we're seeing is becoming more interesting, and also price point. Something that's fairly new in the market of interest on the buy side is higher price point items because there's potentially less competition, number one, and two, they can come in with cash and actually make a difference. So they can get better margin by buying more. There's economies of scale. So yeah, that's some of the changes we're seeing right now.
What when somebody approaches you, what do you consider kind of like the ideal client versus like a headache client, as far as like
Sell side, you mean?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so ideally I want a seller to be happy with the bottom line multiple we think we can get. And that's not because I want to sell it for the minimal possible. I want to shoot higher for 2 reasons. One, we could just get a cash deal and that'd be hell yes, this is the best deal ever. 2, they could hold back some equity like you guys did, right? And have some more upside, but still get enough off the table in the beginning for them to say, yes, this was a great deal for me. And it makes a difference in their life in some way, shape, or form. And so having a realistic approach to the sale process, that we need to work with the buyer to help them buy this business and succeed after I sell it, and also have that realistic expectation in the beginning.
Have you been saying no to many sellers or wannabe sellers?
Yeah, we say no to a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Has that
and-
been increasing, or like do you find, or is it? I mean, your time must be limited as well.
Yeah. So it's more often than not, it's not now. So often when I'm talking to someone, they're just not ready to sell yet. And that's a tough thing to hear. And, if someone needs to sell, I think you were touching on this before, if someone needs to sell, that's a horrible proposition. We want to sell into strength because for whatever reason, if it takes longer to do a deal, we want you to keep growing the business. It's a solid business. You could keep this thing growing organically almost, but it's your focus to keep this thing growing. So, yeah.
All right, it's time for our last drunk dial of the night. C-Money, who we got?
We got Patrick in Brooklyn.
Patrick in Brooklyn, what's going on? You're live on Wine with Wyan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey.
Give me a call.
What?
Ryan and friends, I see. It's been a little late in the video. Thanks so much for giving me a call.
Well, thanks for calling in. What can we do you for?
Well, hey, I'd love to field a question that something that is coming up in my life, and sort of a catalyst for a lot of growth with me. I'd love to see what your experience is like. And for the three of you there listening, what has your experience been smoking yourself out of your own bullshit? Is this something you've experienced?
What
Kind of, what kind of like techniques, habits have the three of them, either any of you, sort of developed to keep holding yourself accountable and sort of squash the internal resistance that would come up? So it's inevitably along the journey of life that would keep you from executing, keep you from doing the things that you really want to do, and as a result, sort of make the results you want to get in life.
That's a fantastic question. I'll take it first. I'll say having skin in the game, put yourself at accountability to yourself. So a lot of times we mentally masturbate about the goals that we are pursuing, and we don't actually have any skin in the game. And skin in the game can come in the terms of investment. It can come in the form of time. It can come in the form of public commitments. That's how you get skin in the game. But I don't think there's any replacement for mentorship and community accountability. Mentorship is ultimately, we're only accountable to other human beings. We tend not to be accountable to ourselves. We're accountable to communities, or we're accountable to individuals, which come in the form of coaches or mentors. And that is who will hold you accountable to clearing out your own mental BS, if you will. I also am a voracious journaler. I journal just about every day. I'm writing down my thoughts, but I actually read my journal more than I write in it, because I'm going through the reflections that I've had at up times, down times, and I journal when I'm feeling really good. I journal at times when I'm on a high, so that I can remind myself of what I'm focused on when I feel good. Because a good piece of advice that was given to me was, you make your decisions when you're on a high, when you're on the up and up. You wait until you're in the clear before you make major life decisions. Clement, what about you?
I think I've seen like good. I think Tim Ferriss had a good one in, I don't remember which book, but Stick, using like
STICKK.
yeah, you can put a bet on kind of developing a habit, and I think like, and that's part of it in terms of creating goals. I think a lot of us try too hard to try to think like there's an end game, try to enjoy the process, try to figure out ways to systemize and to do, like, to be consistent about what you do and enjoy the road. Otherwise, like, I think a business is more of a marathon than a sprint. And if you think of it as a sprint, it's really easy to get disappointed really quickly and get burnt out. And I think, like, also as an entrepreneur, I think like it's a lonely road. So you do want to find other people, and I think on that note, I think Y Combinator, which is a kind of VC kind of incubation type fund, kind of recommends having a business partner. But the con side of that is, like, I've heard business partnerships are like marriages without the makeup sucks. So,
well, I mean, we can all customize our own relationships.
yes. So yeah, you want to be really careful.
It's such a source of challenge and learning in life, and the hardships kind of make the highs worth it, at least in my experience. But I hear you about that.
Yeah, I think most entrepreneurs I know are kind of manic depressives.
Yep, pretty much. Hey, Patrick, we're not going to include this in the rebroadcast, right?
I mean, whatever you want.
Right. So let me say this, Patrick. In terms of discovering your own mental BS, I cannot and will not recommend psychedelics at all. I'm not recommending any use of psychedelics whatsoever. I would certainly never recommend that ever. I would also recommend therapy. I've had great results tracking like my childhood and my upbringing and the stories that I created out of out of my background and really discovering why I believe the things that I believe and the stories that I created about certain events and how that led me to where I am and how that might be holding me back. And I think you can discover that in a myriad of different ways. But like working with a professional has really helped me identify those patterns and identify that mental BS so that I could make different decisions moving forward.
And coaches are similar to that.
Right. And
Sounds like it's been really formative in your life so far.
what's that?
Well, it sounds like that's led you to a lot of growth and learning and understanding
For-
in your life.
For sure. And Corin, you get the last word.
Yeah, so Patrick, I think this is an excuse. And what I mean by that is what you said at the beginning, if I remember correctly, was you have all this mental baggage stopping you from moving forward. So what I would do to clear that up is to say, what do you actually want to do? Why do you want to do it? And write down what the first step is to doing it and do it today. Don't wait. Don't go to the therapist first. Figure out what you actually want to do, why the fuck you want to do it, and take the first step today. And keep doing that every day. What's the next step? Do it today. Pick up the phone, make the call. That's what I would do. And that's actually what I did to get sitting right here today.
Wow. I hear you, Corey.
Great question, Patrick. Thanks for asking.
Loved it.
Thank you very much for fielding it and giving me a call to include me.
Say hi to Brooklyn. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, drop me a line next time you're here.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Best of luck, guys.
Well, Corin, thanks for coming to Austin.
I do have one more question. Which,
Okay.
Let us have it, Dr.
yeah,
Juan.
like so, when people think of getting brokers, I think like their concern is, well, how do I know that I'm not going to get screwed? How do I like thinking through kind of the pricing? Do you find that the commissions are flexible? And how do I evaluate the right broker? Obviously, there might be some bias there,
Yeah.
but what do you say to people as to like what should they look for, and how do they get the best deal?
And what if somebody wants to get screwed by a broker?
Literally or figuratively?
Well,
Well,
you
when
know-
you're as handsome as Corin.
well, the fire pit with s'mores at Brand Builder could be a good way to get that, get that to happen.
Who's Leanne?
That's brilliant. Good questions. So how do you pick a broker? So yeah, obviously I'm a broker. So this, before when I was buying and selling, I was using brokers. I have pretty good relationships with a lot of other brokers in the space. And actually, when I first talk to people on a call, I say there's 3 things we aim to get out of our first intro call. One is we'll figure out what the value of your business is today. Number 2 is now the best time to sell, or is it best to plan for an exit and sell later? And 3 is, are we the best broker to help you? Because I'm not the best broker for everyone, and not all clients are the best fit for me. So, you need to like your broker, number 1, because you're going to be working with them for a while.
Mhm.
Even if you get a quick sale, there's diligence, there's contract negotiations.
And on
things,
that point, what should people anticipate being the time frames that they think about?
It depends on the type of business. It depends on the market at the time you go to list. So that can be a how long is a piece of string question. It's really hard to answer. Size of the business plays. I was talking to an investment banking partner of ours, and they were saying, I was talking with them about a deal that was probably going to sell for the $20 million valuation, and they were doing 3.5-4 million of EBITDA and earnings before tax, depreciation, and amortization, so net profit basically. And they were saying, this deal is okay, but here's why we don't really like it. And if this was an 8 million EBITDA deal, these things wouldn't be as big a deal. And I said, well, so how long would a 8 million EBITDA deal take to close typically? And they said the same amount of time. We'd be looking at a 4 to 5 month process for a 3 to 4 million or an 8 million. So more than double the size business could take the same amount of time. So they would prefer to focus on these larger deals as opposed to the small deal with some nuance to it, so or some difficulties. So as far as picking a broker, you want someone that whatever niche you're in. So even if you're not doing physical products, whatever you're doing, if you're in SaaS, if you have a service-based business, you want to work with a broker that has a track record in an experience, knowledge database of specific buyer types. So for instance, we can tell you we have over 800 million in capital available from our registered buyers alone. The people that have taken the time to say, put their hand up, this is what our budget is, and given us all their information. 800 million. So I can say for physical product brands, that's how much our buyers have to deploy. So if a broker can't answer that question for your vertical, that's not a good sign. They should be able to tell you that. They should be able to tell you for your business how long this process could take, what the deal terms are typically like, how to best position your business. And if you're not in a position to sell right now, they should have the balls to say that. And realistic valuation is another thing. We don't push for a huge multiple and then reduce the price just to say, oh, we couldn't sell it for that, let's reduce the price. We see this a lot because we map the whole market. And this happens in real estate. This isn't exclusive to business brokerage. So it's not always the broker that tells you the highest price, because the chance of them actually getting it closed at that is one thing. For instance, I was talking to someone recently, their friend sold a business for 4x net profit for a fairly small business. And I said, oh, that's great. What was the deal terms? And he said, well, it was 50% up front. That included inventory, and we paid our broker their full fee at the beginning. So if you actually break all of that down,
You got like $8.
they got a really shitty deal to say they sold it 4x. So the deal term as well, how can you help me through the deal process is what I'd want to know. And will you, as the broker, walk away from a deal that isn't good for me and tell me, look, this isn't a good deal for you, let's go find another buyer, even if it means the broker may not sell the business. That's the type of commitment I'd want in a broker. And I feel like that's what we deliver.
On like price or cost for a broker.
Yeah.
What should people typically anticipate, and how hard or soft are those numbers?
Yeah, so price is an interesting one. When I was selling businesses myself, I was looking at more who could get the deal done, who could get a deal done and for a market rate, not necessarily how do I get the cheapest broker or the cheapest fee. So in some ways you get what you pay for, sometimes. It's not always the case. But there are some market averages for commissions that should be adhered to. And also go with what the broker's been doing for you. So talking is easy. So someone just saying, oh, I can get you this and I'll charge you less, that's just talk. What have they actually been doing for you up until that point? Have they been following up with you? Have they been professional? Have they been helping you prepare for a sale regardless?
Give it to us straight, Corin. What's the amount?
Sure. So there's lots of different things. So we use the M&A standard, which is the double Lehman formula. So that's what we use. And that's pretty standard across the industry. Some brokers will
What is
charge
that for
less.
people who don't know what
Yeah,
Lehman or...
So the double Lehman formula was from the Lehman Brothers, which maybe we shouldn't be following this stellar of progress from the past. But basically, when they were raising capital, it started as a single Lehman, then became the double Lehman. So essentially, it's 10% on the first million, 8% on the second million, and it scales down at two less until it gets to 2%. Then that's it for the rest. So it's a money in scenario.
So the more you sell for, the less
the lower the commission goes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what we use. And sometimes there's a performance component. So we'll say here's a flat rate, and then if we get above this price point, then we'll take a high percentage. Some people just brokers will just say we'll go rock bottom just to try and win the deal. And I think if someone's definitely speak to a number of brokers. Don't just go with one. get a feel for what's out in the marketplace, get a sense, ask all the same questions to each one, and see which one you want to deal with. I have a friend recently that spoke to 7 or 8 other brokers, and he's fortunately coming back to us, which is great. But he gave us some insight into the market, and there were some things that we were taking notes on. So definitely go talk to the market. And if there's an outlier, if someone's saying half what everyone else is saying, that why are they saying half? Are they needing a deal, or are they actually providing some? Do they have something else to back that up?
Well,
And it's negotiable.
No.
Corin, I'm stoked to work with you if our conversations go in that direction. So I'm excited about what you're doing in the world. And if you have an FBA business and you're thinking about selling it because you follow my work and you know these businesses are hot right now, he might be a guy that you want to give a call. FBAbroker.com.
Thank you.
Right, Dr. Clement. Any final words?
None.
I want
Great
to
conversation.
give public congratulations to the good doctor who almost finished his entire glass of wine tonight. That was a challenge and a half. You did it, my man. You did it. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us at Wine with Wine. Oh, and public apologies to Tim Ferriss. We wanted to get to Tim tonight and we just ran out of time. So hopefully he'll be able to join us on a future episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.